Sarah. Sarah Lynn. My mother named me after, well, my mother and father, after her college roommate. But I was never called Sarah. I was Sally from birth. After the third child came and he got close to 2, I decided it's time. I'm ready to move on. And at that time, Crossville Ceramics had just come. And I thought, well, there might be an opportunity there. They're planning this new facility here, and there might be an opportunity for a job, and that might work. I might be able to do some stuff from home until they actually got here. And so I made contact with the Chamber of Commerce, with Beth Alexander, and with several others. And she offered me a job to work there to just kind of get started. And so I went to work there in January, and then worked with Ted Meadows. He was real involved in recruiting industry, and on a part-time basis, just to get my feet wet again. And then Charlie, at that same time, the council had totally changed over, because in that time they were only 2-year terms. There were all 5, and they were elected at the same time. And the one with the most votes was the mayor. So they had a brand new council. All 5 of them were new. They were called City Commission then. And they had fired the city manager, and they hired Charlie Akins to be city manager. And I knew Charlie from JC's and volunteer stuff. And because I had already started working at the chamber, then when some of the upheaval and Donald Loveday quit, he asked me if I might be interested in it. So it just kind of fell in my lap. I think I would tell myself, keep your integrity. No matter what is going on in the politics, stay out of the politics and do what you think is right. For so many years, every time there was election, which was every 2 years and still is, I would think, okay, I won't survive this election. The new ones will come in and they'll get rid of me. Or I'm tied to this mayor, and so the next mayor's going to want somebody else, even though I'm appointed by the city manager. And so I worried about that every election for every 2 years for years. I worried about it, but I didn't consume myself with it, because you can't. It is what it is, and it gets to the point that every 2 years somebody says, well, they're going to fire Sally Oglesby, and you survive it, and you see that nobody gets fired, and you finally understand that that's probably going to happen, and or it's probably not going to happen. And so I envisioned I'd probably be here till I was halfway a mummy calling the roll. I think, I think all the technology. I think that's one thing about this job, is it never stays the same. It is a constantly changing job, and anybody that's afraid of change does not need to be in this position at all. I think that we still struggle understanding the city manager form of government. Every time I think we're getting close, we bog down again, and we seem to continually have citizens, employees, and members of council that still want to micromanage and still don't want to accept the city manager position. Well, the one that stands out to be the most memorable is one that I did not go to. I already had a medical procedure scheduled, and I decided I would rather do the medical procedure than be at that meeting. Mm-hmm. And that was the meeting where they had hired a new city manager, and introduced him at a big reception, had a big hoorah, and then decided they didn't want to hire him after all and rescinded it all. It's interesting. They come, the mayors come at different times and have different roles. And I think Earl Dean came at the time we needed just a kind of a little calming influence, and he was very much that. Earl didn't say a whole lot. He was just very calm, and he was kind of like the commercials that when he speaks, you listen. Most of the time he didn't offer an opinion, but he was very steady and calm, and I thought that he did a very good job. And that's not to say that the other mayors have not been good at all. I think they each have a niche depending on what's going on at that time. Sometimes you need somebody that has lots of new ideas and visions and very progressive. J.H. certainly did that for many years. But then you need somebody. Then James came in, and James is more like Earl, more calm. Let's not be controversial as best he could. City managers, I think Dan Collins is probably one of my top ones, mainly because he was the first professional city manager that we had, and you could see that when he came, he understood city government. Then when they brought David Rutherford in, I think David was another exceptional city manager. There are probably some things that were probably ill-advised, but I don't think that I would change them. There have been times I have stuck my neck out and people have said, you shouldn't say that, but I had to say it. And I did it in the most professional manner that I could, but I have to have my integrity and I had to stand up for myself. I could have just let some things go over, but there are times you just have to, and maybe it wasn't the best thing to do, but I wouldn't take it back. Well, I think that the state association and all that encompassed were very important to me, and I also have been very involved in the International Institute of Municipal Clerks, and was able to represent 5 states on their board for 3 years, and that's pretty exciting to be representing Tennessee, Kentucky, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, and things that affect city clerks. And then I've chaired some committees for them in legislation and education I've been involved in, and I'm proud of those. I'm proud that we have computerized the city as well as we have. I'm proud of our document imaging, that we've moved those forward. We've gotten those records stored electronically, that we've got those minutes in there. I'm proud of that. I'm proud I got the old minute books, and because of having gone to IMC and networking in TAMCAR and learning what other cities have done, I found a preservation service, and I would send off 2 or 3 volumes every year to get preserved so they'll last another 100 years. The old minutes that were getting very brittle and they're handwritten, they're all encapsulated in plastic now, and they're cleaned up, and they were done professionally, and now they're up to where they'll last, and you're not afraid to touch them. You can enjoy them, and you can read them, and you can look at them, and I'm really proud that I've done that. I'm really proud that I was able to get all the tapes, all the old audio tapes that go back into the early 70s, and get them transferred onto CDs so that they're available. People can actually hear those voices. It's been kind of interesting as I got some of them back, and I couldn't identify the dates on them, and so I would listen to them, and it took me back in time, and it was like they were so clear, and I could remember being at those meetings. I mean, it was kind of cool to go back and listen to those voices, and I could hear them again, and I could remember sitting in those meetings, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of my role in trying to preserve the past, and so that it's there for the future. That's a funny story because when we were starting TAMCAR in the late 80s, it was our first kind of big meeting. We'd had an organization, a meeting to kind of see if there was interest, and this was kind of our first little bit, and we had it in Nashville. And Marilyn Swing, who was absolutely the starter of TAMCAR, she had arranged for some vendors, and there were fax machines there, and none of us had ever heard of a fax machine. I mean, we were all standing there watching. They had a couple of them, and they would show how it goes from one fax to the other, and we were all just standing there going, wow, we'll never get that in our town. There's no way we'll be able to buy that. That is cool, but it is never happening. But I remember that just so vividly, where we were just all amazed watching this piece of paper going in here and coming out over here, and it was like, whoa. Well, taking a vacation as soon as Christmas is past us. Going to go off for a week, just to chill and all that. I'm going to be doing some work at Martin Elementary. Our church is a partner with them and supply, and I don't know what I'm going to be doing. Whatever they ask me to do, could be reading to kids, helping them with some tests. It could be sorting papers, grading papers. I don't really know. Whatever they want me to do, but I have agreed to spend a little bit of time with that because I think it's important. I'm interested in working with Junior Achievement. I think that's an important organization that can help kids learn about business and civics and government and how things work. And so I'm interested in pursuing a little bit of that. I've talked to Joyce Rohrbach at the County Archives, and she's got a bunch of boxes that came from the county mayor's office that need somebody to go through and sort out, and so I'll probably help her a little bit with that, trying to figure out what they need to keep and what's not of any particular value. We're particularly looking for the Industrial Development Board records that was at the courthouse that disappeared, and nobody knows what happened to them, and so I'm hopeful there might be in those boxes. I'm really not interested in that, but I also need a breather. I need to take a breath, and I won't close the door on it, but I'm not jumping at the bits right now. It's not my passion. And to be honest, my husband and I are talking about moving closer to the kids in the next 5 years. So, I don't want to obligate myself. That keeps me from doing what Sally wants to do and Bill wants to do. Never be afraid of change. Never back off from change. Always look for the next thing that's out there and move forward, and never, ever, ever stop learning.
Hello, Sally. Sorry I can't be there for your retirement celebration, but I wanted to say hello and thank you for helping me when I was city manager there. You have a great reputation throughout the state, throughout the country. No matter where I went, as soon as they found out I was from Crossville, they would ask me, "Do you know Sally?" And I would say, "Yes, I was her helper. I helped her manage the city." But anyway, we did a lot of things. We accomplished a lot of things the 4 years I was there, and a lot of it was with your support and encouragement to proceed. We removed the moratorium on the wastewater treatment plant. We did citywide sewer project. We built a new city hall, and I remember we all said it was too small when we built it. You've already moved to another one. We did a personnel policy and compensation plan that was adopted by the council, and your excellent rapport with the citizens is what helped us get things through council and get issues passed and the projects through. Your core values of honesty and integrity is what led you through life, and you should be proud of that. People respect you across the country and across the state of Tennessee, and I know the employees respect you. You made me feel welcome when I arrived, you made my family feel welcome, and you helped us integrate into the community. So I've always said that you were the best thing that ever happened to me as city manager. So again, congratulations on your retirement. I hope you enjoy your travels and visiting with family and grandchildren, and have a great retirement. Thanks and goodbye.